Let's say you're online looking at some houses and there's one specific house that you're just very curious about. So you reach out to an agent, a friend, a family member, maybe the person on the website. And next thing you know, month or 2 months later, when you're actually looking to buy a house, well, that little paper that you signed with them a few months ago actually locked you in to work with them for an entire year. And now if you want to buy a house anywhere, you owe that person tens of thousands of dollars. If that sounds like a complete fairy tale, it's not, ladies and gentlemen. This is the latest trap that people are falling themselves in. And honestly, I'm just freaking pissed off today because the things that are being told to the consumer is just flat out inaccurate and wrong. And I hope that the Department of Real Estate or whoever is in charge really starts cracking down on this. And the best I can do today is teach you guys how this works and how to avoid it. All right, so let's break down exactly how it works. So, like I said in the beginning of the video, there's a house you really like, and you just want to look at it. I mean, it's okay to say, I'm not ready to buy yet. I'm like still browsing, I'm still looking, but can I just go look at this house? I just want to kind of start getting a feel, right? Like I want my brain to start kind of visualizing the space and know what I'm working towards, right? So you have a few options if you want to look at that house. You can go to an open house, but not every house is always held open. But if you're lucky enough, you can just head over to the open house, go in, go out. There's absolutely no commitment. The second option you have is you break in. No, I'm just kidding. Don't do that. That's just a joke. Don't break in the house. The second option you have, actually, the only option you have is you have to have an agent schedule showing for you and go see it. Now, a lot of you guys think, I don't need an agent to show me. I can just go on this app I'm using, this home search app I'm using, and it says student's request is this time. I'm just going to do that. And there's no commitment to that, right? You're going to be connected with an agent who's going to be trying to sell you. So that's exactly what you do. You reach out to your friend or family member who's an agent, or you reach out to somebody who you've been talking to, or maybe you just reach out to that whatever website you're using and you go schedule a showing. Now, the problem is when you go look at the house, what's presented to you is, I want to show you this house, but the way the law works is I need some kind of paper from you. Hello, editing Javier here. Apparently the younger version of me popped a little too much brewskis that morning. If you don't get that joke, you will eventually get it in like a minute or two. I didn't explain it too well here. What's presented to people is they have to sign a contract or sign an agreement. Like they're not just given a paper saying, oh, here you go. No, it's like you have to sign an agreement or sign a form. And this form or agreement is actually a binding employment agreement. They make it seem like it's this little form where you're just going to sign it so they can show you a house, but it's a full-on employment agreement. It's presented in a very casual, very like laid back format. Like, hey, what's the big deal, my friends? This is just a little agreement that lets me show you a house. All's good. Pop a brewski. Let's go. Do you pop a brewski? I don't know if that's something you do. I miss my college drinking days. I got married at 19, got a kid at 21. So I just completely missed that. So if you don't pop a brewski, I apologize to everybody. So in summary, it's non-committal. Hey, don't buy. If you don't buy, don't worry about it, man. 6 months or 12 months, it's all good, man. You know, if you don't buy, you don't owe me. Don't worry about it. Just sign this little paper and you're good to go. Hey, man, you're going to pay me 3% if you buy a house, but don't worry. If you don't buy a house, you don't owe me that. You're good. Life is bueno. And you're like, all right, well, I trust this person and I'm not going to take the time to actually read it through because let's just face it, not everybody has the ability to read a whole contract without freaking getting bored out of their mind, right? So they don't understand the implication. And, before you go and start criticizing people, oh, well, they're so dumb. Why? There's a level of trust that people have. Sometimes you're reaching out to a close friend of yours and you think, well, my friend wouldn't screw me over, would they? Right? And they just sign the contract and they move on. And shoot, how many times have you signed something without fully looking and understanding at it? Come on, don't lie. Let's all pretend that we're all like freaking reading through everything. I just signed up for like 6 subscriptions like last week. I don't know if I just gave up the rights to my likeness and all kinds of stuff. Here's what happens. And let me tell you a true story. I had somebody who was looking with a friend or family member, and they were like, let's just go look at this one house that we really like. So we want to go look at that one house, and we're like, you know what, we're good, thank you. And it was only 1 or 2 houses. That was it. 3 months later, 4 months later, they're actually ready to buy. They're shopping around. They're talking with different agents, and guess what? That little paper that was signed, that their friend said, don't worry about it, it's no big deal, it's just to help me look at houses. It actually is a contract. And now when they reach out to them and go like, hey, we're actually interviewing other agents. There's a chance that we might go with someone else. What does this contract entail? That real estate agent is basically saying, nope, you owe me 3% or whatever amount that was agreed if you buy a house in the next 6 months to 12 months. I've heard this story so many times this past like 60 days, 30 days. It's insane. I had one situation where it wasn't me, it was a colleague of mine, where their agent was telling the client, well, this is just the way my company does things. My company's not letting me do this. That is a bunch of baloney. It is totally up to the real estate agent on whether they actually want to move forward or not. It's insane. There's an addendum you can sign that anybody has the power to do that can just let you go. It's freaking embarrassing that agents are finding like this to wait as a way to make money instead of just being upfront. Hey, you messed up, bro or sis. If you would have followed up with that person every week, every 2 weeks, just to check in, say hi. Hey, I know you're not looking until 3 months from now, but check this out. I pulled this market data for you, and you were just on top of your game. Maybe they wouldn't have even shopped around. Or secondly, if you were actually honest and upfront, why make them sign a contract when they're just browsing? Like when it's time to look and hire somebody, I want you to consider me. The problem is we're telling people that, hey, it's no big deal, you're fine. And then completely turning around and saying, well, no, you owe me money now because I'm hurt that you're not using me anymore. So it's stupid. Honestly, it's embarrassing. If you lost a client, let it go. You lost a client. And for everyone else, please avoid this. First things first, I want you to avoid this, and I want you to focus on this. You don't have to fully understand the contract. You're not a lawyer, but be aware of the time period that they're signing you up for. Okay? If you're just browsing, there's no reason. There's no reason. There's no reason why you should sign that. You should sign a 2-year agreement or a 1-year agreement. You're just browsing. You're just chilling. What you can do instead is, like, let's say you are just browsing and you want to look at a house. Why not make it like a week commitment or a 3-day commitment? And you can put a clause in there that says, hey, if I end up buying this house with someone else, there's a specific clause, at least in the Arizona one, where it says, if you buy a house, I show you within an X amount of days after that they're entitled. That's fair. Yeah. If you go look at a house and you end up buying it within 30, 60 days with another agent, I understand why that agent would want the compensation. You would have to use that agent, right? But it's negotiable. There's no standard fees. There's no, my company requires this. It's just negotiable. If you're just looking at a house, tell the agent, hey, it's like, I'm not ready to buy yet. I just want to see this house. I know you got to sign something, to protect yourself. That's cool. Dude, make it a 1-week commitment. Make it like, if I buy a house within 30, 60 days, that specific house that we look at within 30, 60 days, that's cool. But if you're going to lock me in for 6 months for not buying a house in general in the entire city, that just seems a little sus, doesn't it? I know sus isn't a popular word anymore, but it just seems a little weird, doesn't it? Second thing is, be aware of the commission that you're risking. And you need to understand not only how much does that agent get paid if they help me buy a house, but what are some other ways they can collect that money? Can they collect that money if you buy the same house that they showed you within 30 to 60 days, like I mentioned before? Can they collect that money if there's a specific clause here in Arizona that people don't know about, where if you were to under contract and you cancel, even though it's within your right to cancel, like the inspection period, disclosure period, whatever, you decide to not move forward, that buyer's agent could, in theory, also say, hey, well, you stopped the sale of this home, I'm entitled to compensation. There's a situation recently where I was helping someone buy a house and the person had a stroke, and it was a terrible situation, but they're like, dude, I know it's like a week before closing, and I'm probably going to lose my earnest deposit, but I can't buy the house anymore. I literally just had like 2 strokes back to back, one night, the next night, and probably going to lose my job. It's just, I don't want it. And, of course, we just let it go. We canceled and we moved on with our life. But the thing about the buyer broker agreement is, if I wanted to, I could go and say, now you owe me compensation. Because The sale, I fulfilled my end of the bargain. The sale is about to close in the week, and you got in the way of that. So now I am owed compensation. So that broker agreement or the employment agreement gives the agent a lot of power. And yeah, that's all fine and dandy. You can say, I trust my person. They're my friend from high school. I really love Edgar. Edgar would never do anything for me. You're giving someone, I don't say a loaded gun. You're giving someone a very powerful tool against you. And that's a lot of trust to give someone. So really understand how are other ways they can collect compensation from me. And last but not least, sign with somebody when you're ready to commit. Like when you're actually like, I'm buying a house, I'm going to do this. It's going to happen unless something bad happens to me. So I'm ready to sign a 3-month agreement. And that's where you're going to talk with several agents and really make sure you find the one you like, right? So you only sign when you're ready. And if you're signing beforehand, if you feel the need to go look at a house and you really want to go look at it, you can be aware of this stuff and sign like a short-term agreement. But really only sign when you're ready. And even if you are signing and you're ready to be committed, what are your outs, right? So like you wouldn't just meet somebody, be like, hey, it's the first time we meet, but I think I've heard enough. Will you marry me? You're only gonna propose, or you're only gonna take the proposal when you're ready to buy. When you're actually like, let's go, let's get the ball rolling. I've shopped my sources, I've shopped my people. You're the one that I want. But also, if I do sign this, how would I get out of it? Like how does that process look like? Because a lot of the agreements will not break down how that looks like. So you can ask them, has this happened to you? Or what happens what's the last time somebody has just said, you know what? I don't want to do this no more. Or I don't want to work with you anymore. What ended up happening? The one person I talked to recently explained to me, his agent, he was so friendly and kind, and he just became a different person when this conflict came up. That's exactly, you won't really get to know how they are until they handle their business, right? So like really break that down. My process, if you don't want to work with them more, bye. We don't have to work together no more. I'm not going to lock you in. If you sign a 3-month, 6-month agreement with me and this doesn't work out, dude, whatever. It is what it is. There's other people out there that want to work with me. There's other people out there that don't know about me that want to work with me. Why am I going to waste my time fighting you, taking you to court for a few $1,000s when it just hasn't worked out? Go do your thing. I'm going to do my thing. That's my process. Every agent out there is different. And even if me saying that, if you're talking person to person and you're like, I don't know if that's true, here's some references. Here's some resources, right? You want to really ask for that data to verify if that's actually how they handle things. And even if they haven't, what is that process and how it's going to look like? Are you going to go and take me to court for the money that you owe you, or are you going to just be cool about it and just let us go, right? So be very clear on what the obligations are from both parties, from you and from the agent. And what happens if you breach those? What happens if you don't want to buy with that agent no more? What happens if the agent hasn't touched base with you in like 2-3 months? Do you have the right to just text them, say, hey man, it's not working out, let me know? Right? I have somebody right now, I think I talked to him in November, December. That's currently February 2025 when I'm making this video. They wanted to buy a house, and they're like, yeah, we I think we signed something with an agent, and we don't know how long it's for, but they haven't even called us in like a month or two. And after I talked to them, they want to go talk to the agent. Oh yeah, it's a 6-month agreement. Oh, no, it was like 9-month agreement. So they're not free until like, I think it was in April or May or something. The agent says, oh, I'm not letting you go. If you buy a house anywhere without me, you owe me money. Well, I guess we're not buying until May or whatever month it was. So yeah. And all of a sudden they started sending emails now, and they're very proactive, and they're just waiting for them. They're just locked away. And I told them, hey, this might be a blessing. Save your money, work on your credit. It might, who knows what might happen there. So don't fall yourself into a trap like this or situation. This is all relatively new. So as I learn and discover more issues, not only like this, but other red flags that appear in the real estate community, it's a good idea to just follow and subscribe to me so you can keep an eye and ear out on specific things. It's also very important to be part of a community of home buyers, like people that are looking to buy. So if you want to join our Discord, it links in the description below. You can kind of hear from other people who are actively buying now and actively learn from each other and whatnot. So thank you guys. I appreciate you. See you on the next one.